Consider and order zoning adjustments. 15. 3 with a roll call.
Brandon Swoboda. Tony David.
Here.
Ben Lewis.
Here.
John Sessoms. Gary Dennis. Fred Blankenship.
Here.
Devin Murphy.
Here.
Ben Lewis.
Here.
Tony David.
Here.
Brandon Swoboda. Jeff Saber.
I'm here. All right, just for the public, we're having some technical difficulties tonight, so if we show or talk about something that you have questions about or you want to see it, there's a book in the back that does have all the current things that's available. If you happen to see something, or we don't describe something that you can't get a picture, then there will be some, all the visual, all the documentation, and some big stack of papers and in a binder in the back, so the street. So it's going. I don't have any, showing bring stage. The first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from April of 2023. It's been on motion to approve the minutes. Tony, a second. Motion and second to approve the minutes, and we'll close. All right, with the admin approvals, so the track split, minor subdivision on Little Road. The total tract is 33 acres. Are there any questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff? If there are not, then I would take motion to approve the ratification of the approval.
No, I wasn't, approved ratification there.
Second. Motion and the second, is anyone opposed? All right, for old business. First thing is the development 2307 at Casa Garcia daycare, the preliminary plan approval. Wanted to get some clarification. That the man to include the conditions for the staff report, in the 148 CEQA, and we went through some things last meeting that we need to get clarification on. You have that listing.
So you guys asked, I don't know, I don't have these in there, but you guys asked what changes were made between the last previous approval and this one. So I made a list and attached it to the back of the report. That gives you all the stuff that happened with the plans. And then the little changes that were made to the adjacent street agreement. So you guys approved the preliminary plans, but I asked that you guys make that contingent on staff comments. And also you guys wanted to know more about what the traffic study said. So in the folder, you guys will see the traffic study that was included. And then we sent that to Garver to review the traffic study and make any comments they needed to on it and kind of digest it for us. I think they're here to talk about it. Yes, they're in their Dropbox. There is one.
So.
Did it all.
But don't see off the email from his traffic engineer, whatever. And basically, we're talking to Kayla. I know that y'all are looking at traffic study to help you determine what adjacent street improvements, things are gonna be needed for this development. So there's kind of a lot rider for this. And our traffic engineer said is that some of the ways, some of the methodology and the types of reports that they used throughout, he has questions on kind of why those were used specifically. You'll see that sort of notated in there. So I think basically want to look at kind of the base of how they're making their plans. And this is pretty normal. I think in engineering, well, there are several different ways to go about, looking at things, drainage, traffic, all of it. And so that's why you have a engineer and look at it and kind of ask questions. So if you do have concerns, and you kind of outlined in the body of the email that you sent, as well, you think that, with some of the volumes that they're seeing, that there may be a need to have like, dedicated right turn lane on Cuba, and there's some large queuing amount on that left turn lane as well that may need to be addressed in some way. So, anyway, what we talked about with staff was giving those comments to to the developer, talk to his traffic engineer, have them put together a response.
It's pretty glaring.
I mean,
One engineer to another.
Right, like the method that they used, if I understood the traffic engineer, was that it's the method that they used is good for information, but it's not good for understanding. Yeah, so,
It doesn't take in timing stoplights.
and it takes every intersection way, like it takes SEBA one side on its own as like a little pocket. It doesn't consider how every side of the intersection is interacting together. So it doesn't exactly line up how much time you're actually spending at the intersection when there are 3 other sides of the intersection full of cars.
Do they look at current zoning or proposed zoning?
They did,
So that's the other thing we talked about. We said they're looking at population. So that's what they're looking at. But that's how we're kind of only real data that they're using is the generation that they're estimating from this.
and they didn't look at phasing. So they looked at the PUD fully built out. They didn't consider that it's only the daycare being built first. And that's, according to the traffic engineer, that's one of the highest impact developments in the PUD. So they're looking at the impact of the daycare as if all of the roads in the development are built out. And as you know, with phase 1, that's not how it's been proposed.
But they don't consider adjacent zoning and use land uses.
They don't, which is
They did not in the way that they did traffic.
something we wanted to
I
talk
think
about.
there's value added to know what else is gonna be around there.
Yeah, because Come and Go also did a traffic study, but they didn't look at each other. Yeah,
Obviously, if they did the same methodology, they didn't.
it was the same. Yeah,
They didn't look at the commercial that's.
Right.
That's sold across the street, it's vacant,
right. So there's some,
it's a lot of independent studies.
yeah, there's some additional reviewing we need of this traffic study and some comments that need to be addressed by the original traffic study engineer before I think that the city should feel comfortable deciding street improvements based on it.
Especially if they want to relate street improvements to individual basis, then we're gonna need that. I do think it's important.
We find it interesting, we have 2 studies that said, for some improvement out of this. And also now we're questioning them, so I just asked why.
So there's actually, okay, Lorraine, you can go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say we're also asked Barbara to review the Come and Go. Maybe that, if it's based on just theirs. I know, we have existing problems and that's our question. If we have existing problems. And they're saying that it's all good for 5 years. And that's what their review.
And in here, you'll find on I don't know what page it is in your guys' packet. There's a chart in here that reports the 95th percentile, and is that when this traffic is like the worst? And the number that's reported on is actually above capacity, but they didn't really talk about that in this study. So there's information that wasn't touched on that should have been.
That went back up past what either one of these locations own. Where it's gonna go or it's.
It's for this intersection. So if this intersection was improved, if I understand that those queue times would be reduced.
Here's the thing, nobody wants anybody to do more than their proportionate share. Right? You got, right, that's the whole thing, with the cost side improvement, is you're trying to, look at what their proportionate impact is. So that's what we're trying to do, but if we can't get the base numbers right, even something that works right, then how are we gonna, if you don't have that piece correct, or something that makes sense, then how are you gonna look at the proportionate impact? So, like, thinking that all of this is gonna be theirs too, we're gonna be fair about it. Right, and look at what everybody's adding to the wages. We have to have the base numbers where they need to be. And I do think, I think the come and go one's got to be looked at. But I do think the come and go one, didn't you say the come and go one did say that they anticipated that there was gonna be a dedicated right turn lane?
I think so. I have to look at it again.
And that's kind of what this one's saying, and so I think, between those two, that'll be something to look at as well, once we get the number of facts. Everybody will good.
We need to wait until we get that. After this, everybody's got, right?
The approval for come and go was contingent based on getting the adjacent street agreement and fee in lieu agreed upon, so there's still some wiggle room there. Because we haven't settled on that yet.
Well, Bill's not here saying that. Right?
The reason we have.
It is, just their impact, not.
Because this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it wasn't together, but we couldn't do nothing early.
I've got a question. So help me understand, you're recommending a SIM traffic analysis? What's the, I guess, is that a software? How is that done? Is that,
There's several different, they're different modeling software.
okay,
This is the way I understand. So they run things differently, so they. Sim one, it runs interactions between, simulates interactions between multiple sections, and so like. One of the things they were concerned about was that the queuing, for both, on SEBA is gonna back up. Right, and then it's gonna start interacting next to one of the intersections that they're creating that is Bell. And, and it could even interact with the intersection
Chatty.
even further down, we don't know, but like, and so that's what he's saying.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, this is.
so with that, that's an RDOT approved methodology,
Well,
that SIM traffic analysis, that's an RDOT approved methodology using that software. RDOT approves that for their warrants. Is that a software that?
I don't know if I can definitively answer that, but I can get. More.
What are your thoughts?
Sorry, say it again.
Put you on the spot, but you're the traffic guy.
No, I agree with her analysis. I mean, I think, you know. I mean, Peter, the company that did this is, I guess, a verified firm. They do traffic studies statewide. It's not like it's not a fly by night firm that did the study. But, I think I agree with Julie. Probably more information needs to be needed because it doesn't take, according to what I'm reading right here, it didn't take the whole picture. It's like, it's a piece of pie. And we need a whole picture, in my opinion. To see what the requirements need to be. Whether we put this all on the developer from this one development, or if this is something the city needs to partner up with on a bond program, or however we need to do it. But this is our opportunity to get it done. We're only gonna have one shot.
Mhm.
So I think a little bit more time to get, to hopefully make a more informed decision would benefit us in the city. That's my opinion.
Sorry, I'm still thinking, let's say we do a traffic study that is all encompassing and that then impacts already approved developments in other areas around there. Or would that, or could that impact?
Well, what they have done, they have written up comments to go back to Peters and for them to address and provide additional information. So with them including that, then that will revise the traffic study.
Yeah, overall,
So
would that then change their stance on previous traffic studies for other developments?
One's close enough to get affected.
Like the one they did come and go, but for example, since we know that one there, so we approve that based on the traffic study they did for that. Well,
It's just those two in here that would be impacted.
the landing across the street would be zone commercial too,
And that's
agricultural at the time,
been done or developed down. So there's nothing to.
but the use of that land is different. Than what they.
They didn't consider it.
They're just considering like a blanket, like population. 4%. That's how that traffic study.
So what does our master street plan show? On that, is that showing a 5-lane section there? Initial build out
In
on
SIBA.
the master street plan?
It calls for a major arterial, but a 5-lane road
4-lane
would require us to condemn significant property from close to building. it.
Further down on the intersection, it would fit.
I don't know that 5 lanes is one. That's what we want.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying that depending on what we require developer to build out, we still need the right of way dedication
And
to
they've already-
facilitate.
Yeah.
the master street.
The right of way is already dedicated.
Okay, so there's no problem. I thought there was
No.
a problem with the right of way
The
dedication.
right of way is already dedicated.
And with their development, they are proposing to build Isabel Boulevard with sidewalks. But we wanted to kind of wait for the revised traffic study to see if we, what connection of the sidewalk we may need to run a daycare, because we're not quite connected. We have some existing 5-foot sidewalk. Is it better to connect through on, or put something on Main Street? Do we need it right now? So that's something for y'all to think about. My recommendation is that the adjacent street agreement be tabled until the traffic study is, till we get that nailed down. And I guess, we're kind of doing A and B together here.
Mhm.
But there's additional things with Casa Castillo that besides the adjacent street agreement that were in the report as far as landscaping, lighting, those two were the main plans. And then any other the comments in the report that would be part of the approval. They were special conditions and general conditions. Which we would love to show you and read. You may have the reports in front of you. So you could look at those on your report.
I think it's all good. The only one I think that's not here is, we approved the use of aluminum fencing. Thank you. We approved the use of aluminum fencing around the pond, and I don't see that. It's here.
We haven't gotten a resubmittal yet, but yeah, that was talked about. I believe you guys talked about having trees along the north side of the property where there's not trees, and then some other things that are still pending a submittal. The lighting plan hasn't been updated to include some additional street lights and parking lot lights that we added, like around the dumpster and in the parking lot. So any approval really should be contingent on making sure there's no light pollution. And then the landscaping, adding those trees along the north. And
I
then
think it's
So,
both
Brad,
wrought iron, right?
the fence around the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was you agreed on the aluminum.
Okay.
And our code states that the top rung will be 5 feet. So that was the minimum that we have, whether that's what you want to ask them to do. We have another development that is doing, I think, well, they're doing some type of metal fencing also. But they're like, we'll do whatever your code says, so I don't know if that's something that y'all want to discuss or not, but there's a difference of a,
Yeah, I mean, I think we
I
were.
think they mentioned 5 feet themselves.
pardon,
I think they will do 5 feet. Standard 5 feet.
With the aluminum.
Mhm.
Oh, wrought iron.
so whether that's one of the conditions.
Yeah, adding that as a detail.
It wasn't a game like.
Yes. But the motion just stated that the development plan was approved, it just didn't state any of these conditions that are in the report.
You want the clarification, if you will, approval based on.
Yep.
These comments. A. And
And
the fence would be in there as well, right?
Yeah.
The top weight is for A.
Yes.
Yes, did you hear with the wolf?
It's Addie.
Let's talk about each division. I think they're, they can talk about that.
Yes, that is correct.
Were there any questions about any of these? Okay. Anything you want to add?
The only thing to add, I mean, it's contingent on like the use of street agreement, but it would just be with the development of the sidewalks to the, you guys. But I mean, we're not approving anything with the street agreement, is that correct?
Right, we're not.
Okay, yeah. so-
It's probably not gonna make it. tonight.
Yeah, but so it's fine, so we can just discuss it whenever we do discuss that street agreement. But no, there's nothing else. Adam. Thank you.
We'll make you up on the street here. So based on this list, plus the fence, any other question or concern, keeping in mind it's not including the security. Regards to the. If not, then I would entertain a motion for, development 2307 copy to the daycare. It's the preliminary plan. This is the amendment to include the divisions for the staff.
This is John, I'll motion to approve development 2307, see a daycare, with the included conditions in staff report. Without the, just.
Tony, I say,
Motion to second is anyone voting? Yes. So on the traffic study, we're gonna get a review of both the come and go and the comments back from the engineer. When they're available, we'll put it on.
so this is for table.
Yes.
Okay, this Tony, I make a motion to table, PUD between 104 Cherry Road commercial. Traffic study.
This is Ben, I'll second.
And that also counts for the developments adjacent street agreement.
Yes.
So there's a motion to table and a second is anyone opposed? Next on the agenda is, public hearing and for conditional use 2303, the Center for Water Tower at 14-31 Highway 102. It is on day one, 3.5 acres, and the request is to construct an elevated water storage tank. Are you here to speak? Are you here to give comments? I'm forwarding that. We'll have time for that in just a second, okay? Give me just a second. If you want to have a seat, it'll take us just a little, it'll be time. Oh, we'll call it, okay?
Hi, I'm Jeff Denmark with ESI represents.
Give us a high level view of the power.
So the proposed project would be construction of a 2.5 million gallon composite elevated tank, providing storage for what will ultimately be a new pressure plane serving the southern area of Centerton and provide about 20 years worth of capacity for growth. It also includes some on-site water line improvements, 24-inch bucket line.
Yes. Yes, I'm still trying to drive so people can see it on YouTube. So as Jeff mentioned, this is a conditional use for a water tower located at 14231 Highway 102, which is also the location of the station number 3 fire station. So it's at that 102 when it turns to go south. So the city does own the property and it is still required for a conditional use in agriculture, which is what this is zoned. It is a 2.5 million gallon composite elevated storage tank. The tower will be located approximately 213 feet from the edge of pavement of 102 and 184 feet from the right of way of 102. The tower is 165 feet tall from the foundation to the top of the access hatch. So that's the very tippy top of the storage tank. And the top storage tank, the actual storage area is 110 feet in diameter, and the supporting pole is 60 feet in diameter. Now, the closest current structure is the fire station, which is approximately 182 feet to the north of that station of the water tower. Detention pond is also located adjacent to the tower, just to the north of it. If you could see a picture, it kind of curves around it. So that way there is a pond if there's an event of a leak or something to that effect. The adjacent properties are agriculture to the north, south, and east. And to the west, it's unincorporated Benton County. On the other side of 102, the nearest subdivision is Maxwell Farms Minor Subdivision, and it's about a half a mile to the northeast of, on the north side of LC Hickman Drive. And utilities, of course, they're going to be putting in any water lines that they're going to need for the use of the tower. There aren't going to be any employees stationed there. They will still be working there at the their current location on Keller Road for the maintenance. And as far as deliveries, they do have a diesel backup generator, so they will have periodic deliveries of diesel fuel to make sure that that does continue to run. The only landscaping or screening proposed is a 6-foot chain fence topped with barbed wire. Currently, it looks like there are 6 trees existing as shown along the frontage of Highway 102.
Any questions or comments from the commissioner before we open up to the public?
What's the last you playing off of that?
I believe it is commercial or industrial, there can.
It's agricultural now, right? But
Yes, it is. It is agriculture currently. Out there, I believe it's industrial and or commercial.
No, it's exactly five here, sorry. That's 5.
Mhm.
There's no other questions, then I'd like to open up to the public.
Don, let's open public hearing for this, which needs in the review of the second.
Motion and a second of the public hearing, is anyone opposed? All right, we're now to the public, if anyone wishes to speak, we would ask you to come to the podium. We do ask you to state your name and your address, and any questions, comments, that you might have for the.
Putting, yeah, giving working on basically concentrating pattern. Couple years before, we got the land next to that fire station. Looking a couple homes for myself and my parents. We got the information that ours will be actually a good plan made by city for public. But I was in only for location. It's because of it's goes from my home. For like no inside or it's the way the structure is developed next to my home, it's kind of little, I'm just scared.
You know how far away your house would be from where the.
The way I got the picture, it's it is from my boundary line, it's less than 50 feet from the boundary.
If you don't have a.
Oh, we're not going to buy, we want to rent after all that there is things going on. Kind of a chance to.
So your land is still zoned agriculture. It's not land.
No, exactly, I'm sorry, it's a residence.
It didn't own the street fence, the master fence.
The, where the,
Agriculture.
yeah, where the water tower is planned, it's zoned A1 on the comp plan.
Yeah, I'm saying he is land.
Oh, I'm trying to find it.
His land is, I believe this.
They say it was
Oh,
It's planned for agriculture, his land also.
Thank you.
According to the land use plan, yes.
if anyone else wishes to speak, have any questions or comments?
Or
We'll start off with the request for distribution for the water tower. And third and final call. Motion to close the public hearing. Second. Motion's and a second to get the public hearing, is anyone opposed?
And the people who just spoke, they also sent us an email and about
Yes.
the same information.
It's in the Dropbox.
Any additional questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Now, I just want to know, on this approval, staff is recommending an indefinite timeframe instead of 1 year. Except for the 1 year conditional use, this is recommended for an indefinite time. To be changed, I mean, they wrote the explanation to be discontinued upon non-use of the water tower for 1 year.
So if they don't start within the year, then the condition is not in effect, is what that is saying.
Correct.
It's not an indefinite period. We would see, this one's a little bit different than some other condition uses that if they're gonna build a $2 million water tower,
I'm with
Can't
you.
just take it down.
they're not.
Yeah,
So with that saying, so
Right.
if they don't start within a year, then they have to come back.
All right.
And if for some reason zombies come to live in the world and they discontinue the use of that tower for 1 year or more, if somebody wanted to come back, they would need a new conditional use for that tower.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, we can't say, okay, you only have it for 5 years for,
That's
giant
what
water
I'm
tank.
putting out. I mean, it's not a typical.
Correct.
1 year.
right. Because it's kind of permanent.
How does the landscaping and screening
go with other water. So the latest, I would say, is not necessarily the water tower, but Glass Hill on Tower Road. Part of them
Mhm.
puts screening around the outside of the. I believe it's a chain link fence that's around that. We did require them to get trees to screen around it, so.
I think what they're proposing is trees that screen from the highway
Mhm.
on the property.
Mhm.
So instead of them being along the fence, they would actually screen the property.
On the highway. I
Is what,
did make a recommendation. It looks like there's 6 trees that exist out there already, because they weren't shown as proposed on their plans. They showed as existing.
Jeff, you know, like are there existing trees today that
Yeah.
belong?
Those are existing trees. We weren't proposing any trees. The tower's pretty tall.
Yeah, but the chain link has got all of the, I don't know why, so you got, you think they should propose screening around the chain?
That's what the city requires. No, the tank on Highway 72 has chain link around too. I know we proposed similar. That you provide with the city.
So I think we need to screen. the tank around it.
There is
Okay,
a,
so, it says a black chain link with opaque slats, so if they screen with landscaping, you remove the requirement for the opaque fencing? Or wanting both?
Spot there, I don't recall. Cell tower. I think we did rotate back against our.
I think so.
So if they want to screen.
Yeah.
Unless they want to, unless they want it for protection or something, I think it would be better up to them, but not be a requirement. For the screen.
So as long as they have trees around it, it's fine. They can just have the chain link fence.
Shrubs.
Mhm.
Tall shrubs.
So one of you.
Yeah.
You prefer shrubs versus opaque fencing.
Or some kind of like screening tree, not little, we put down the pavement. Obviously, but I think there are species called out in our landscaping,
Mhm.
which type of shrub tree. But yes, I mean,
Trees.
I
Okay.
think we had discussed the cell tower, and I don't know, just recollection way back, I think we talked about those plant regular time. Maybe all
Yeah.
that, and said, you know, trees.
Um,
If I remember. that.
We did find out that
Provides-
requiring landscaping around the cell tower in agriculture is that the landscape won't survive with cattle. Just to put it in mind. There's no cattle here. but
No.
Just to put it in mind.
No cows.
Yeah, I do remember the last one, the cows ate the shrubbery. Or what else?
For the screening, I think we need to do the trees provide probably 60% coverage. You can see.
Yeah. Then I know we've,
It's a quiet operation,
unless the diesel generator is running.
unless electricity.
Mhm.
Clean neighbor around. Noise and stuff, it should be a quiet operation, not a, not electric, or anything else.
And then I know with the landscaping with trees for screening, typically you guys have included like 60% coverage within 2 years. For, you know, the trees that grow fast and,
But the, yeah, that's the. It's draft, right? We
Yeah.
refer to that
Correct.
draft, they follow draft.
Yeah.
Right. Fire. But we can refer to them to say follow the draft.
yeah.
You can ask. Any other questions or comments? On the use? That I entertain motion for 03 Center from water power. People who want highway, one.
A motion to approve conditional use 2303 Centerton Water Tower.
Second.
Motion and a second. So we do a roll call.
Can I amend that real quick?
Yeah.
To add additional landscaping. please?
Yeah.
Motion to approve conditional use 2303 Centerton Water Tower with additional landscape screening around the chain link fence.
You're not expecting it.
If you'll do a roll.
Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Fred Langford,
Yes.
John Sutton,
Yes.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Jerry Harris,
Yes.
Ben Lewis.
Yeah.
And Jeff Sippert.
Yes. Paul. Next one is in this evening is a public hearing in regard to Title 15, amending the code to include chapter 14.09 wireless communications and small cell towers. Yeah, if you'll do I will.
Okay, this is coming back to you all. It's been a year ago, but means that this was, you had approved a draft and we didn't get it codified, so we are bringing it back for public hearing. Keeping it that this time. There's a couple of, I don't even through this previously, but there's a couple of recommended changes. This, they have the wireless communication towers, this is so that in certain zoning districts that they could receive administrative approval or they would go through a conditional use. But this lays out what they would be required to do, where right now we have, just like the water tower, you know, we have nothing to really guide us. This would give them requirements, and we get this quite a bit from wireless communication, wanting to know what we require. And also like relocating on an existing tower. So, previously, we had that communication towers shall be allowed by conditional use permit only within all zoning districts with the exception of agriculture, where I would like the commission to consider adding industrial districts, which would be your light industrial and your heavy industrial. That way, there are certain, and then they would only be allowed by right if they meet the requirements in regard to minimum size and use. And the tower is set back at least 100 feet or setback distance of the tower height, whichever is greater from an existing residence or residential property. So this is something to consider. Our existing proposed as an agriculture, so if the staff committee would consider adding to that.
I think it makes sense to me. Does anybody disagree? Because it makes sense. And that's what there is.
All three towers.
Okay, the other, if y'all have your graph on page 4, about a third down, we have the requirement to provide us a scaled site plan. It has proposed tower. I just wanted to put that there was nothing that really said, you know, we want to know what the height is, what type of tower. They look all differently, so we need to know what all the characteristics of a tower would be. So we're asking them to provide that. Also, we removed the scale that was preferred. It's a 1 to 100. It's really hard. We put appropriate scale. whenever we put a certain scale, sometimes it's small, sometimes it's so big. So it just needs something that's appropriate for the project. Security fencing and anti-climbing device. There were two sentences and they were really closely related. So I combined into one, the towers and equipment shall be enclosed by oak fencing 8 feet in height and made of durable. That's on page 6.
Like it closed.
Okay, and then everything remains the same until page 21. We talked about this in the last meeting on if there is an application submitted and it's incomplete, that time stops for review. And then it said that it would be told, which means it would just be temporarily stopped and then it would pick up again. But then it says that the next sentence said that. So we had things contradictory. So we changed the reset that it will then. Because federal law requires. And that was the end of the requirement. I think that's, Juliet with Garber about the federal law. A lot of this is from the federal regulation. So it mentions right of way, that if these are located within a right of way, it's sufficient to apply. And I just wondered if they would also apply a different thing. Which received an answer that don't think so. If it have in the right of way. Or these certain things that mention in the right of way, it's the right of way. Other than that, everything else was left the same.
Any questions, comments from the commissioner before the lane, before we open up to the public? At this point, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing for Title 14. Gary, I make a motion. Second. Motion and a second for public hearing for Title 14. Is there anyone opposed? The are open to the public. Any discussions, comments, questions in regard to amending the code to include the chapter 14.09 wireless communication of small cell towers. Second call for anyone wishing to speak. And third and final call. Motion and second to close the public hearing. Is there anyone opposed? If there are no additional questions or comments, then entertain a motion to approve Title 14, amending the code to include the chapter 14.09 for wireless communication for small cell towers with the additional suggestions.
It's John, motion to approve Title 14 and recommended changes for chapter 14.09 wireless communication with small cell towers.
Second. Motion and seconds. May I give you a roll call, please?
Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Craig Langford,
Yes.
Don Sessoms,
Yes.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Jerry Harris,
Yes.
Ben Lewis, Jeff Saber.
Yes. Thank you guys for all the work on that. All right, next on the agenda is a vacation request for 2301 Langston. Request to vacate 15 feet of the utility easement of 1560 Glastonbury Drive. It is zone R2, lot number 32 of the Lexington subdivision. Yeah, I think we're, yes, the walk us through what you're requesting.
Basically, just put a
Eric, no longer do the staff.
Yes, sir. Since Lexington has dedicated all their building setbacks to be utility and drainage easement, a vacation would be required to allow for the installation of an in-ground pool. So the applicant has requested to vacate 15 feet of the 25 feet of utility easement for the in-ground pool. So there's no utilities shown on the plat. But we have received a comment from Brightspeed indicating that there's a 48 strand fiber optic cable running within the easement. However, with what they provided as an exhibit, it doesn't show to be an easement reduction. So other than that, we don't really, well, Carroll Electric came back, said they do have an existing line within the easement area, but potentially there's no conflict based on the location of the transformer. If any line is needing to be removed or gets damaged, it will be at the owner's expense. So, drainage easement, as far as the drainage easement is concerned, with the way the grading is such that the drainage leads into the street and not towards the back, there's no conflict with interfering with the drainage easement. We have received, of the 3 abutting property owners, we have received 1 response saying there's no objections to the vacation. That's all it is.
So it shows that you're still awaiting responses from utility companies. How many utility companies are you waiting responses from?
2.
So
The
going
others
on.
came back saying they don't have any objections.
That's, you said yet from Cox, right? I think Cox is correct down on the street side.
They would have no.
So do we think that the fiber is located within the 10-foot easement? I mean, this goes from 25 to 10, so the fiber is still safe in the easement. I just want to make sure.
From what they indicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're running back there, right?
48 fiber. could be-
I don't know, you said it.
You cut down.
Cut down.
They would only have 10 people. We're talking about, right?
Yeah, they did.
48. Are there any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If there are not, then I'll entertain a motion for vacation 23-01 request to vacate 15 feet of the utility 60 Glastonbury Drive for use of the.
This is Tony, I make a motion to approve vacation 23-01 Winston.
Yeah, this is recommendation for the city council to
I
approve.
apologize.
I'll recommend to city council for
Recommend
approval.
the city council.
Yeah, recommendation to city council for approval. To vacate 15-foot of utility drainage easement at 1560 Glastonbury Drive.
Second. Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? But. All right, next on the agenda is vacation request 2302 Henson. Request to vacate 15 feet of the utility easement at 101 Orange Drive. This is R2, lot 69 of the Tuscany subdivision. The applicant here, the request that you're looking for.
David Henson, 101 Florence Drive, Centerton. And similar story here, we want to put in a pool, a backyard, and we figured to get the pool the way we wanted it, it's gonna have to encroach upon the existing easement.
Eric, you want to give us a second?
So the applicant has requested to vacate 9 feet of the platted 40-foot rear utility and drainage easement. Located on 101 Florence Drive in the Tuscany subdivision. Tuscany has dedicated all civil and setbacks as utility and drainage easements. The rear drainage easement, as it shows, contains multiple utility lines shown on the side. It also abuts North Main Street, which is considered a minor arterial for Master Street Plan. So that would be built out to be a 90-foot right-of-way per the Master Street Plan with 38 width from back of curb to back of curb. We have comments. I'll get to that here soon. As shown on the vacation plat, there are underground utility lines for gas, electric, and fiber optic. And there is a gas line shown to be approximately a foot from the proposed easement vacation. There are no appurtenances related to drainage in the rear easements.
Say something at this point.
Yes, sir.
The gas line, they said it was a foot, hopefully there only be a foot between the proposed pool location and the gas line. You know what that means?
According to the plan.
Yeah, I don't know, I've got pictures of, we had Safe Dig come out and mark out all the utility locations on the property. And it's more like 10 to 11 feet of room for where the gas line is to the edge of the pool proposed.
We'll apply to them. Determining factor there.
I remember, yeah, I would say that they have done gas line work out there, I think in the last year, maybe about a year ago. At the same time, Cox relocated theirs on that. So it's right there, it's right outside the wall.
Well, it's all listed on the inside.
It's inside of the wall.
Yeah.
And from the diagram, it's not the pool, there's a retaining wall going in as well. And that's what's gonna be 0 to 1 feet on top of it. The wall then really shows for building the pool.
So like to me, the retaining wall would have to be the outer limits of where I would have, that would be included in the pool measure, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even sure if the retaining wall is gonna be required, but if it is, you wouldn't make much further, so.
The edge of that retaining wall is where you start your vacation, wherever that starts. So however much that retaining wall goes into the east, you have to account for that. Even though the pool might not be there, but if you add sidewalk, retaining wall, everything, it's all
Yeah, you
that
have to
stuff.
count that, you don't want that to encroach on the heating, I understand. that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're just going by what they've got marked on the fly. I feel that.
Well, I've got pictures there if you want to see.
We can't speak for that.
We've sent out, we sent out approval forms for every utility company. And they have come back with us with comments, and we'll get to that here once.
You want these? The digging people, they'll come out, they represent the utility, they
Sure, we'll
tell you where the utility is.
we'll take a look at this.
You have a comment, Wayne?
Well, as he gets through the utility comments, there's, Centerton Utilities has a water line. So my concern is building on top of this water line, and if they will even allow it. You didn't,
You can't build a pool, I can tell you, no, you can't build a pool in top of water line, that ain't,
Yeah.
that is not my house.
Yeah, there's no water line in place.
that's what Malcolm.
Okay, so, one thing to comment on is the right of way. Since Main Street is a 90-foot right of way for the master street plan, should expansion take place, it would require relocation of utility lines. One concern is that the extent of which the easement reduction would take place would likely add constraint to the relocation of utility lines. Currently, there are no expansions for North Main Street. That is an RDOT, that's an RDOT owned right of way. So it's up.
Part of this is not the city's. It was dedicated to the city with. That's the plaque.
Yes, I'm over.
And that's- There may be some highway prescriptive, but this was all dedicated also with this.
So the dedicated part. So we can put the, so that road,
Yes, it is still a RDOT highway.
okay. Then, we also noticed, the space within the setbacks currently show space for which, a pool can be located, providing adequate amount of space without needing or requiring as much of a substantial reduction. So commenting on Centerton Utilities, there is an 8-inch water main that runs in the easement that is being proposed to be reduced. The water main needs to be shown in its correct location in the easement reduction survey. They call for Black Hills to give their approval for this proposed reduction, since their gas main will be within the limits of construction. And so according to Black Hills Energy, there are concerns about the reduction being too close to the line. And we're still awaiting further comment from them. No, for AT&T, no objections or comments. Brightspeed, there is a fiber optic cable that runs within the rear utility easement, which if it were to be damaged or relocated would be at the expense of the owner, the landowner. And we're still awaiting further comments from Carroll Electric and CenturyLink. SWEPCO, if that's in the jurisdiction.
CenturyLink and Lumen is Brightspeed.
Their reason was 7.5 feet from your overhead.
Well, because the pool company didn't want to dig too close to the house. I think we can probably move that in a little bit too. So maybe I can get it down from 7.5 feet to, I don't know, 5 feet away from the house.
So. Water. Into gas.
Yeah, they're not shown on here. That markings for water.
Water company came out and for digging purposes, they marked it going up the fence line. You know, the wooden fence on the west side of the property. Yeah, west side.
With the confirmation welcome for that.
Then require that. Feeding back, there's the comments, but there's a lot going on that corner. Too big outstanding. Clarification on. But they come back and say it's in. I don't know that I would feel comfortable, they can't go full on top of the water line. Or. If you're talking a foot is not. The internet from a gas, it is gas.
They're afraid digs so close to the house, they're okay with hitting the gas line.
Sounds like to me, they don't know where their gas line is. It's 10 feet, one end of the pool, 11 feet at the other.
We also, looking at this, when staff was looking at this, felt like this pool could be redesigned more of a shape that would take advantage of that area that you have to the west. You know, instead of going straight back off of your porch, you know, design a little bit more
Out to the
along.
west. I don't have a problem moving it back toward the house. You can get a couple of feet like that, you know, for sure.
Dave, honestly, I think we need to understand where the gas line and where the water line is, so that's probably what, not only the staff, but also the city utility. Right here, the firm, according to the plan, one call or somebody, to make sure that we understand where it's at. Because that could be a determining factor, not only in us approving, but maybe it sits or how it's designed. Sure. So I think we really need this information, clarification for us to be able to approve. To do that.
This doesn't question. I mean,
We're working with Will Associates to revise the plat for more.
right. I mean, they show utility, they show a gas line on that plat drawing.
Yeah.
That in no way is where that is on the ground, you know, on the land. Where do they just arbitrarily put that on the drawing, or is that where they
They
actually
do.
think?
They do an 811 locate. And usually. In some cases, the utility companies will come back with a map. Showing the approximate location of the lines. More often than not, they don't really get a response from them. I'm assuming that's where they got their information.
And it's just so totally different from what the guy came out and detected, you know, on site.
Based on what the plat showing.
Right.
Right, so we'll need to get a revised plat from Associates showing the correct positions.
Okay, so I think working with, again, the city, because we'll need to get a utility guy and make sure we're water line that. So work with them to get the location, exact location. And working with Blackfield. We're at. Those would be the two approvals that we would need, because those are the ones that have questions. In regards to, obviously, you don't want to push full on, let's put on top. Or do we want to blow up something because we're not sure that line is, so. Those are the things we have to, that's the reason we need approval.
Yeah, I understand.
So, I'm gonna recommend table this.
They don't make it to 9:05 because the council meeting, yeah, 9:05.
So I work with Eric and get those, or
I would work with Eric, and I would work with Malcolm. He's the utility guy. And then I'm sure they'll be able to help with that, this money, Blackfield. For gas, but Malcolm is the one that runs the water utility, so you. Building money way home.
okay, so basically then the plat needs to be updated. By doing any kind of moving of the pool or redesign of the pool, that needs to be reflected. We do this again.
We do. The thing is, you don't have to wait, because you'll get under old business, so you get to.
Wait a few minutes.
And just to know, when you see the markings from the 811 call, you got 18 inches on both sides of the line, so you got a 36 inch
Sure.
line, just so you know. Because some people mark it and they're like, oh, that's where it went.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you got 36 inches.
Some of them that they're marking
You got-
more art and science, I think, too.
I do have more further comment from Blacklist, but it's not giving us an exact location of the gas line. We're just saying there's currently a service line feeding into the premise at or near the place to be reduced. So they still need to make sure that that gas line is
At or near is.
where exactly where it is exactly. We can rectify this. But like I said, I think it's really up to the utility companies to approve that. Or make a recommendation. So we'll talk.
So this has its public hearing at city council on 9/12. So if we table it to the 9/5 PC meeting, that'll give us a little bit more time to get this information. Yes. It's okay, I'll cover it.
So with that, I'm in a motion to table the application 2302. Craig, I'm going to motion to table application 2302. I'll say. Motion and second, is anyone opposed? Thank you, good luck.
All right, thank you.
I think that's probably. Well, it doesn't.
It doesn't make that difference.
Well, we need some type of recommendation to the council, so.
Well, we'll do it again, we'll go to council.
Yes, yeah. We're setting the table to 9/5.
Fine.
That's it.
That's our only option.
All right. Next on the agenda is application 2303, Thomas. This is a request to vacate 15 feet at 416 Trail. It is on R2, 7 of the Oak Tree subdivision. So with that, I have to recuse myself of this one. This one, right?
You're in charge.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah.
Sir, the owner is here. Survey company.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say that we're repeating what the previous two had as well. On this one, so we'll go back, which is the street, and request to decrease the utility easement and drainage easement.
Yes.
Take questions about the survey, and the documents here.
Yes, 'tis pool season apparently. This property is located in the Oak Tree subdivision at 460 Trailwood Circle. They are requesting a 15-foot vacation of the 25-foot rear drainage and utility easement. That would leave them, of course, with the 10-foot easement. Now, one thing with their lot is they do have one of the smaller lots in the subdivision, and the house is built pretty much to the entire buildable area. So that is something to consider on this one also. We have received comments from all the utilities. Forgive me for not updating that sentence. So we have received them from everyone, and there are 2 utilities that are located in that easement. Both of them appear to be south of the area they're vacating, so still within that 10 feet. But I will get back to that in a second. Of course, it is up to you guys to recommend for to go to city council. This is a R2 subdivision, a zone subdivision area. And like with the other subdivisions we've seen so far, all of the building setbacks were platted as drainage easements and utility easements. There's not any issues with the drainage for the area. Alan went out there and looked, and there's no issues with the drainage if anything, and that is vacated. So that's good news. We did, and of course, Penner Road, which is, if anybody's ever been on it, is a small road that runs directly back behind this property and is kind of an extra access for Talamore subdivision. So if there is a fire or something like that, they do have an excess access. And measured on the GIS, it is 40 feet. It is a Benton County road, which, could be improved someday for further access. It looks like Oak Tree dedicated 25 feet for it, and then Tallamore only did like 15 feet, but then there was
Other way
also
around, but-
utility easement. Did I do it backwards?
Yeah, Oak Tree dedicated 15 and Palomar dedicated 25.
Thank you. My other brain over here. But measuring it on the GIS, it does look like there is 40 feet between, any utility easement, right of way, things like that for that road. Like I said, we did receive comments from Brightspeed. They do have not a giant fiber. They said nothing about 48-inch. So it's just a regular strand, sorry. It's 48 something. They do have a fiber optic, but they do say that it is located outside of the area. It does show that it's just south of the area that they're really wanting to vacate. And they said, if it's damaged or anything like that, then of course you guys would be liable and you'd have to pay for having to move it. Carroll Electric, they do have a main line located in the utility easement, but they stated that as far as they can tell where their equipment's located, it is not in the area that you're wishing to vacate. It's still within that 10 feet. But they did say that they couldn't for sure tell if there was still the 5-foot clearance being met on the other side of their line. So they said they approve it as long as that 5 feet is met and no concrete is installed over their line. And of course, you break it, you buy it. And I said public notifications were sent to the adjacent property owners. We haven't received anything from the adjacent property owners. I guess they're on vacation at a pool somewhere else. And public hearing publications are set to run on August 27th and September 3rd for that September 12th city council meeting. So if y'all approve it, then it would go to city council. And of course, they also, which they already have a vacation plan completed. And I did mention to Nathan, there was just a few little minor things on there to fix that would of course be reported with the Benton County Circuit Clerk if it is all approved. I said there are utilities, but they do not seem to think that they're going to be impacted. Just Carroll Electric said they couldn't tell for sure the 5 foot was met.
I would like to point out that I just asked them, they marked.
Okay.
So.
That was the only concern on that one, and it seems to be,
Mark Bill.
yes.
What is it, 18?
18 inches.
18 on each side of that is space. 5 feet on the outside of that. Right, so we're marking 18, 5.
And I did notice that also Brightspeed and Carroll Electric pretty much have the exact same location for their lines. Because those were from each of them. I did not draw those. That's what I got from the utility companies.
You didn't understand the price.
You break it, you buy it. Yeah.
Don second. Okay, then a second. Thank you. Any opposed? Yeah, I've always asked.
Next on the agenda this evening is development 2304 Rendezvous, off of the Waterman. Preliminary plans, it's top of the corner of greenhouse and Highway 102. It is on C2, just over 1.078. Are you not the applicant? Or
I'm Daniel Brady with a Phoenix.
want to give us an overview?
Yeah, Matt. And I have some parking and then there's only a drive-through for dropping off laundry.
Applicant submitted a large scale development for the use of a laundromat, which is permitted under highway commercial as it's currently zoned. The development is adjacent to an R4 MF and various other commercial establishments. Watercolors Apartments is the only residence adjacent to the subject property. So with proposed connection is, there's a proposed sanitary sewer connection coming from greenhouse. There's an existing dry detention pond to the east of the property. It does show that the eastern edge is encroaching on the proposed right-of-way dedication. We need some clarification as to figure out who would be responsible for that. There's a proposed parking spaces. There's going to be 31 spaces, 2 of which are ADA requirement. That exceeds the number of required spaces, which is 29. And it's going to be located next to Greenhouse Road, a major arterial. And so that will mean there's an existing 42.85 feet that has already been dedicated. And then these plans will dedicate 15 feet more to the right of way. So improvements we agreed to will include curb and gutter, asphalt concrete road with a 10-foot trail and street trees. So an access easement has been proposed at a stub out near the southeast corner, providing future access to whatever gets developed into the south. There's an existing access easement located on the north side of the property, both of which will provide 2 access drives to the commercial subject property. We're still waiting on a photometric plan, but as it is there's not much conflict due to the commercial and the multifamily apartments already providing screening along their property lines. And then the dumpster enclosure is supposed to be brick masonry. I also need to mention that for the right of way improvements, that they will pay the fee in lieu. And then there's about 10 trees and 181 shrubs to be provided as far as landscaping goes in the parking lot. There's no opaque screening provided. As I said, there's already screening along the Watercolors Apartments property line. Find the landscaping plan to be satisfactory. So we're looking to approve the preliminary plans, the landscaping plan, Jason Street tonight.
What in your comments on the petitioners?
It's entry, Jason Marshall. On the road they share. The market. No, oh, I'm sorry. With the shared commercial, you have Taco Bell and yes, where those driveways back up where you're gonna be that shared alleyway. Oh, right.
The westernmost access
Okay.
is a little bit off. But with the detention pond in the way on the east, it doesn't make that possible.
Yeah. With the front, with the rear window.
It could be adjusted.
It looks like it's on the rear.
It's very close.
People are going to get in
And,
And it's existing.
and they just personally watch their car.
Have a clean car and clean laundry.
Yeah. Putting on.
That's Taco Bell, by the way.
And then go to shop.
Yeah.
Car wash further down.
I see that your proposed dumpster is for, what about the building, is that part yet on?
As far as billing goes, I mean, that's not our.
Do you know what the building will be?
I think it'll be like partly brick up and then, I don't know exactly. It'll be partly brick.
For the photo. Any other questions or comments?
Curiosity on the 7.15, how do we do it? So. It's not just 10 feet, not 20 feet, it's 7.15, very specific.
It should be that, so it adds up to the 50 feet.
Depending what was dedicated before, if they dedicated from the center of the road, 40 feet. You know, count for 2.85 feet, if they went from the center, his dedication should be coming right from the section line. And that's how, you know, you have that even one throughout the entire road. So like where Kimball does those every now and then, weird job. You're dedicated from the center of the road, right away is gonna be wonky with length of the curve. So from the section line, you actually get a straight set. So that's more for that. I'm assuming where that came from.
Long story short, a weird amount got dedicated last.
Yeah.
Greenhouse improvements. How does this work?
This fits in, it's all designed to stay, without impacting that pond. He did say that pond approaches a little bit into it, there's a section of the wall appears to already be in. It's an existing structure. Probably more harm than good putting it out.
They're right away off of greenhouse.
They have no access off greenhouse.
But when they widen the streets with all that improvement, that greenhouse is still gonna be.
It will, yeah, I remember now, it's along there, they can't go anymore without getting into that. They've got a block wall.
Further questions or comments about the motion? Development, 2004, the laundry list, drop and go, laundromat, preliminary plans, which include the security agreement, the landscape plan, and lighting with the approval of staff.
This job was to approve them, agree yearly for preliminary plans. With that caveat. Fighting for that.
Motion and second, is anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Good luck. All right, next one is in the subdivision 1909, Tuscany Phase 3, final plat. This is at the corner of North Main Street in County Road. It is up by 2. This is a 15.93. Yeah, well,
Yep, got the things up. Let's complete it, I think I will today and your final.
Yes, this is, as you stated, Tuscany Phase 3. It is 46 buildable lots and 2 unbuildable lots, one of which is a detention and the other is a lift station lot. The right-of-way was all previously dedicated in 2014 for all the Tuscany phases. There are 4 phases planned, so there's just one remaining after this one. The drainage report has been approved. The bonds, after some back and forth today, did finally get approved by everybody and everybody's happy on those today. And they did have a change order from when you guys first saw the plans way back when for preliminary approval. They added a detention pond at that southwest corner. They also did improvements to the existing monster detention pond there by the clubhouse in Tuscany.
That
Or-
was because of the street light, right? They added that lot. Southwest. Because they could show that other street light. Yeah.
I don't know, but they have,
Stop light.
I don't know, but there's a pond there.
Yeah, that wasn't the reason. There was no shallow rock, and so rather than tighten it with a large pond, we allowed stuff to run off the straight south.
And the density for this phase is 2 units per acre. Like I said there were outstanding comments regarding the bonds. Those got approved and taken care of today. The drainage report was approved. And there are just some correcting of labels and minor things like that on the final plat and as-built. Final inspection was held on the 8th and it was complete, pending some minor punch list items, like the lots still need to be staked, and there is a non-draining curb that was built with phase 2, but it's included in phase 3. So Alan is kind of recommending that portion get fixed when they do phase 4.
Pave the section of the road, Longbourn with phase 2 5 years ago. Different builder, different engineer, different owner. That area doesn't drain. So there's correctness need to be made. But the way it's divided,
Beside the clubhouse.
side of the clubhouse.
That's what, 50, 100 feet, whatever, road right there.
Correct.
Mhm.
So that needs to be fixed and corrected. So we're looking at for phase 4, they're gonna have to fix that. There's gonna require significant engineering work to be done. You figure out where the problem is exactly, and then what the best way to solve it. Can't really bond anything for a completion thing, because it can range anywhere from $1,000 worth of work plus surveying cost over 20,000. If they'd add a whole new box, open cut, put a culvert in, so looking at more as something to add to phase 4 for the phase 4 group to fix that area.
And that was built 5 years ago.
Somewhere.
Yeah, it
March
was, it
18th.
was stuff out of it too.
Mhm.
Looking at Google there, there's March 18 or March 20, somewhere between those, that 2-year section. So 4 to 5 years.
And it doesn't have any drainage connection there now.
No,
How
so
do
the,
you guys tie into that when you put the road?
so the road was already built
What part?
and built 300 feet south of where this problem is. But the houses in that area were included in this phase for building. So the way the phase line's drawn, the issues as part of this phase, but it was also built 5 years ago. So it's hard to get right now, but more so phase 4.
With the drainage problem, it's time to move
I think the biggest thing is you have attention on for phase 4, right? Yeah, and for to be noted in the record, that that's gonna be part of phase 4.
Mhm.
One thing they do have attention on is sidewalk south of that public property. You know, that's already been cash bonded for completion, so
But we don't have it in hand yet.
we don't have a hand yet.
No.
They gave us an estimate.
But we do have an estimate that was approved. And that was, it's for 230 linear feet of 5-foot sidewalk. And that's to connect from Longbourn and Wickham Way on the south side of the clubhouse to lot 212, which is kind of its own
Down the.
whole separate animal up there.
POA
down by
property.
that.
Yes, it's back behind the basketball goal. And the warranty bonds, like I said, they were approved. Streets and drainage, now we've adopted new rules for the streets and drainage where it's 50% for 2 years, but since they started previously, they're doing the 100% for 2 years, and that's the construction cost, correct, Alan?
Sorry, what?
For the bonds for the 100%.
So when this construction started, the original requirement for bonds was 100% of the construction cost. End of last year, we amended all the code, so it's 50% of the reconstruction cost. That's if we have to go in and fix something, we're pulling the bond, costs us more if we rip out the curb and then re-pour it,
than it costs us to pour it. So the unit costs go up, but with 50%, we wouldn't have to replace all the curb. And the being a minor savings, this one started with 100% of construction. So they have them, they did their drainage bond at 100% construction cost. And their street bond exceeds that 50% of reconstruction cost.
And the bond amount is, like I said, is approved. We do have drafts of the bonds. Is $796,062.14. That's for the streets and drainage. Water and sewer is a typical normal where it's 50% for 1 year, which is for the 50%, $204,614.25. And I already mentioned, they do have the cash bond for the completion of this sidewalk, adjacent street agreement. All of that was completed years ago. Like I said, the record drawings, they just have some minor comments on those, just labeling and things like that, and same thing with the final plat. So based on the information that we have, staff finds the plat to be generally in conformance with the Centerton Municipal Code. And the covenants were approved with phases 1 and 2. And I know Brian has been working with them to see if any updates need to be made to those that were adopted with 1 and 2. And they said they would come back and amend. So I guess none of phase 4 was included, so they will amend the whole thing with phase 4. That's it.
So streets and bonds is 100% of construction cost for 2 years
Yes,
instead of 50.
I updated it, so whatever you have isn't the correct.
The drainage is, the streets exceeds the 50% reconstruction cost. So it's acceptable to us. If they want to give us a higher bond, we're not going to complain. And they know that it was higher.
So
Streets was exceeds the 50%. Drainage is 100% for drainage.
It's 100% for 2 years.
Correct, and they're both for 2 years.
Yes, for streets and drainage, the total of $796,062.14.
but we have to have them separated out.
They do have them separated out with the bonds themselves. Let's
So
see.
you can phase 4 as well.
I do have.
Yes.
This was for me.
Oh, is that updated after it was printed?
So the streets is 55631.
Yeah.
So
There, there's a matter.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioner?
they're in there
But there's some minor cleanup, typical staff comments, but otherwise, you know, only. Well, with that, I would entertain a motion for subdivision in 21, sorry. Subdivision 1909, Tuscany Phase 3, final plat.
This John Bush will approve subdivision 1909, trustee phase 3 final plat, public comment on the version drainage at phase 4.
Okay. Motion and a second, is anyone opposed?
Thank you. I have a question about this next one.
Okay.
I own property next to that.
It's adjoins it. It adjoins it.
And don't, yes.
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Absolutely, I will call on the, yes. Just note that Jerry is refusing, so. Next on the agenda is subdivision 21, I'm sorry. 2102, Edgewood Station, with the final plat. This zone R3, single family, 25.68 acres, 87 lots, 2 non-buildable lots. It's the, are you not?
Jason Ingles, with Being Civil Engineering, the contractor has completed all of the street drainage, water, utility improvements. Bonds drafted, those have been submitted, punch list is done, no line has been seen. There's a couple minor comments on the record drawings and minor comment on the protective covenants that are claims resolved.
And the staff will be.
Yes, this is Edgewood Estates, It was all one phase and is located on the south side of Bush Road, north of Edgewood, east of Tycoon. It's kind of an odd shaped subdivision that connects from Bush Road down to Edgewood. It is 85 buildable lots, 2 unbuildable detention lots, one at the northeast, northwest corner of the property, and the other one's can't really say southeast, south northeast side of the property, given the shape of it. They have dedicated 40 feet of right of way along Bush Road, and 25 feet on Edgewood was previously dedicated. So 40 feet is being dedicated with this plat. No phasing, the drainage report has been approved. As Jason mentioned, we just have some minor things on the covenants that they're working out. Bonds have been approved for this one. And it is, this one, they are doing the streets and drainage at the 50%. Okay, so it's $497,379, and water sewer is $414, $414,315. $335. Okay, I can't see your read any longer. The density is 3.3 units per acre. Any outstanding comments? Like I said, in the covenants, those are being taken care of. The as-built and final plat was just minor labeling, cleaning stuff up, nothing that makes any big changes. It is our 3 subdivision. Like I said, they do have the 2 detention ponds. Alan has approved the drainage. The site inspection, all punch list items have been completed on this one. Edgewood, between Edgewood and Shirley Estates to the south. All of Edgewood Road has been paved from the edge of their property all the way out to Tycoon. So that was completed with this. And like I said, there's just super minor comments left on final plat and as-built.
What's that? Is it because
It was stormwater,
Right.
yeah,
Small, it's a little bit paragraph. that
yeah.
We won't into the internet, but.
No, I said that's on its way to being corrected, so.
Well, we got the correction, yeah, I know that.
Well, that's one I can tell you that with the punch list, they haven't relocated their power poles yet on Bush Road. They're in the gutter line, but they're kind of handcuffed by the property until they move those poles. You have to receive that they're paid for to be done. It's just not done yet. So they pay for what they're going to do, but whenever the right time gets to it, they'll do that. And then finish pouring the last little bit of section curve where it couldn't be poured because of the power pole.
Just if anything, we all want to tell them, so Gary, if you have a question, will be.
This subdivision, there's a drainage ditch on the side of the road, and across the street, the other subdivision is brand new. They're having to do curb and gutter over on that side. My question is, why is it we're doing curb and gutter on one side, and just open drainage ditch on the other side? It's, it doesn't make sense.
I don't remember.
That
Good question.
was,
Pay the extra.
Yeah.
Curb and gutter on one side.
that was an agreement with the previous Public Works that Edgewood Estates was agreeing to pave all of Edgewood.
We normally are not required to pave all sides. We went all the way back to this part.
So they-
All the pay for that was the agreement. we did an open ditch. Plus, at the same time, when we submitted this plat, Shirley Estates wasn't in the mix still during the middle of construction about the same time. That's why that agreement. They didn't have to pay it all. They didn't have to put up the money for the loan.
You have your answer. I don't remember that. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was a conversation for sure.
Now you know.
Remember that well.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yeah, obviously, the covenant's being approved. If no questions or comments, I would entertain motion for subdivision 2102, Edgewood State subdivision, final plans.
Motion to approve subdivision 2102 Edgewood Estates, final plat with the outstanding comments and covenants.
Second.
Motion and a second, is there anyone's closed? All right, next on the agenda is subdivision 2121, Meadow Ridge preliminary plat and plan. Northwest corner of Pillar and Seba is on R3, single family, 43 acres, 154 dwelling units. Every night. I'm well, thank you.
I'm gonna interrupt really fast. Just for the record, Jerry came back since I don't have a camera on to see him walking back up.
Thank you.
Good call.
I'm back here.
Yeah.
Okay, love the camera.
Tim, right?
I have
Yes,
to-
sir.
I have a camera.
Give us an overview, what's your requesting?
Yes, sir, we're requesting preliminary plat approval on this development, 21-21, 43 acres, 154 dwelling units. We have 2 detention ponds and a tract set aside for the pump station. And I believe we have got everything addressed, what very minor items. So I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
Eric?
Preliminary plans for Meadow Ridge was submitted on December 21st, 2021. With the subject property planned to be developed around 2 other parcels. 3 other parcels. It's located with, at the extent of which the city limits are with Benton County located north, east and west. Agricultural, land located to the south. It's located near subdivisions such as Morningside, which is R3, medium high density residential. Diamond Estates is R2. Union Place in its preliminary phase, which is R3, if they're a quarter mile apart from each other. And the development will realign Cedar Road on the southwest corner, changing the sharp 90-degree turn into something more broader and safer. The lot has been proposed to be split into 2 phases. Phase 1 will consist of the northern part, the northern northeastern part, being 1 through 99. So a total of 99 lots, including the lift station and the detention pond to the north. Phase 2 will consist of 55 lots with a detention pond. We'll have access to water from both Keller and Seba. Lift station will be installed with phase 1 with the first main running south parallel to the west side of the road. Will eventually tie into lines in Morningside. It's not located within a floodplain. There are currently 2 freshwater ponds which will be filled and need to be compacted. Need to be compacted. So there will be access for phase 1. There will be access from Keller Road, the east side, and phase 2 will have access from a western, southern access way from Cedar Road. Both of these right of ways will be proposed to include 10-foot trails. Then adjacent street agreement, 40 feet of right of way should be dedicated on Keller Road with a 10-foot trail. And asphalt and a ditch, no curving gutter as of now. With a 14-foot green space. There won't be any street trees due to the constraints presented by the grading of the ditch. There will be light poles on 300-foot intervals along Feller. And then SEBA has a variation of different proposals for proposed improvements. So the section, the 550-foot section starting from the southeast corner leading up to the southern property, the Page property, will have improvements. And then cost sharing will take place with the improvements along the southern adjacent property owners front property line. And then there will also be as part of the dedication provided by the owner, a realignment for SEBA leading to a broader, safer curve leading up to going north. A section of the property which is designated as tract D will be unusable and will be dedicated to the city. We'll have 10-foot sidewalks as well as street trees with an 8-foot green space. And okay. The remaining comments are plat corrections and we'll also need a landscape and tree preservation plan. We need to update the adjacent street plan with the latest agreement as discussed with city staff. Also notice that lot 10 has a significant amount of land being dedicated to it. Just one thing about it.
This was an extremely difficult piece of property to try to lay out because of all the out parcels, but I believe we come up with something that will work back. So, and one other thing I'd like to make sure everybody understands the early on in this project, we met with the city, we found out about the problem that we got with the real pipe in there at SEBA, the southwest corner. And without education, my client said, hey, let's provide a sweeping curve that we could in there. So we've got about a 400-foot radius curve in which, as Eric said, I believe is going to end up being a lot better. Then I have to slam on the brakes to make the turns for them and actually continue at your normal speed.
Improvement.
So we still need the cost estimate for the construction of SEBA. So we can work on the cost share. But everything going on right now is just on Heller Road with phase one. Phase one will pay Heller from the corner to the north property line.
So is the adjacent street agreement ready for approval or just the subdivision preliminary improvements?
The agreement just states that there will be cost sharing, but doesn't delineate what exactly that cost sharing is.
Not hearing mention there's no curb and gutter.
Correct, yeah, the hash street agreement is just paving the dirt road. And putting ditch lines in between the road, the ditch and the trail, Just behind that's a forest main, so there's nowhere to put trees along SEBA, whether it's in the right of way or
Keller.
along Keller, where they, anytime we do anything on district, they get mowed right over right way. And then anything just behind the right of way, on top of the forest main. And I'd rather mow over a tree than run up a forest main. And Anthony will 20%. So there's really nowhere to put one anywhere on Keller.
Great, heard that.
That's for the master street plan.
Did have one question, clarification on the street trees from SEBA. Since we actually do, for the time being, on a little stretch on both sides of the road for realignment, are we putting trees on both sides of SEBA or just on our side?
Just doing this.
Yeah, you wouldn't want it in the island in the middle. That is safe for vehicular access. Which holds off of it.
That's up to the commission. Have it.
What's the question?
I'll listen to those, street trees.
What are,
What would you recommend?
what are,
It depends on the type of tree, really, on what.
what's the landscape plan? What would be the recommendation of that? There, 20?
No, 25.
Normally we go
25, it's
25.
25 and 35, you know,
And species, right?
Yeah.
on what the species is. Mhm.
Is everybody good with 25?
By the way, get that.
Do it not there.
Every 25 giants.
25 feet.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments on that plan? Not, then I will make a motion for subdivision 2121 that will read preliminary plat plans, which includes the preliminary plat, the adjacent street agreement language, for staff to do that.
John, motion to approve subdivision 2121. But, yeah, adjacent street agreement in that line.
Second. Motion in a second. Is anyone opposed? Thank you. Good luck. All right, next on the agenda is subdivision 2209, Kenyon Springs Valley preliminary plat and plan, southeast corner of Kenyon, in Highway 279. It is on R3 multifamily, equal to 40 acres, 222 dwelling units. David, back to you.
We saved the best for last. I mean, the project, not. But, yeah, this is Kenyon Springs Valley. And, glad to answer any questions you may have. We have worked very closely with staff throughout this project. And I believe we have got to a point where we can present to you tonight. If there's any questions that you have that I cannot answer, at those, and it's just a good rise here, everything with TriStar. I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, and it's me again. And I'm hoping people will quit naming things Kenyon. But this is Kenyon Springs Valley. It is at the southeast corner of Kenyon Road and Arkansas Highway 279. It is 38.16 acres for the subdivision. It is 98 duplex and triplex lots. 40 of those are triplex and 58 are duplex. They do have a lift station and tracks A through H. There are a total of 236 dwelling units. And the units per acre, because they are using a substantial portion of the center of the property as Bavinot Creek, and also they're using that as drainage and kind of natural areas, so it is 2.56 units per acre. They are dedicating right of way and they are doing 2 phases. And the drainage report has been approved. And the adjacent street agreement, I think we've pretty much got all of the comments under control from when I wrote this the other day. The applicant is developing all of the properties pretty much from Keller Road all the way to Arkansas Highway 279. So this is the far most western project. And there is also Elegance at Kenyon and Crystal Cove Phase 4 that are currently under review that will go between this and the Crystal Cove Phases 1 through 3 on the very far east. And I think the density is 2.5856. We have a cricket. 2.56 units per acre. It is R3 multifamily, which the R3 multifamily has a maximum density of 8 units per acre. So they are definitely under that. Yes, I'm totally distracted by a cricket. Open space, like I did note, the Spavinaw Creek runs actually south to north through the center of the property, and approximately 4.3 acres remain as undeveloped due to wetlands and drainage in this area. They are making every effort to try to save as many trees as they can through there, but they do have to do some grading through that area. But it'll be, a nice, pretty area for the subdivision in through there. Utility services, they are connecting to city water on the south side of Kenyon Road, and it will connect to the other subdivisions that are going to be going in to the east. There is a lift station on the north side of Track B, which is right up there by Kenyon Road. And there is an existing easement that runs kind of along Spavinaw Creek that the owner has dedicated to the city a while ago for a future lift station that is on hold right now to kind of help with that area. So they are having to do a lift station. They have completed a wetlands assessment for the property. It was by FTN in November of 2021. There are wetlands located on the property. There is not any floodplain, but again, that Spavinaw Creek flows from south to the north through the property and is likely to be considered jurisdictional by the USACE under section 404. But the only construction that they're going to be doing within that wetland is a street. Lapis Drive will cross over it at the very southern end of the property. But linear transportation projects do not require a 404 permit. So they are good to go with it just being the road that's going across there. Tim kind of had to beat that into my head for a while. I finally got it. There are no detention ponds proposed for the property. They're using the existing creek, as I said. And there is an open swale, which I think is kind of already natural feature that was already there, located on the north side of lot 18 to direct water to pipes that are under Highway 279 currently. The adjacent street agreements. Of course, Kenyon Road is designated as a major collector with 80 feet of right of way, and Highway 279 is a major arterial at 100 feet of right of way on the master street plan. Of course, Arkansas Highway 279 is an Arkansas state highway. But for Kenyon Road, they are dedicating 40 feet of right of way, which Kenyon Road is currently a gravel road. From the property line, it will be improving gravel road to 25 feet. That's 2 12.5-foot travel lanes of pavement and 2-foot shoulders on each side and ditches. Because again, they are paving an entire section of streets. So whoever develops to the north side of this property will come in and will have to do the curb and gutter and improvements for those type of things on Kenyon Road. They are providing a fee in lieu for sidewalks there along Kenyon Road. This was a determination through Public Works and Engineering that a sidewalk would not be feasible at this time because there's a narrow culvert there on Kenyon Road, but they are doing a fee in lieu, which is $23,641.06 for that sidewalk to go in the future. And as far as street lines, they'll be placed at the intersections for the subdivision only to get into the subdivision. And Highway 279, they're dedicating 50 feet of right of way from the property line along Highway 279. And if you've been out there, you know, the road kind of makes a screwy jog at the intersection of Kenyon and 279. So in that area, they are dedicating a total of 81.93 feet of right of way from their property line to help either, you know, someday maybe straighten that out or fix that at some point. In that corner is a future commercial lot that is not part of this development. So they will be doing sidewalks on Highway 279, will be 5 feet along the residential portions. They're not going to do where the commercial lot is proposed, because that'll be its own separate development. It's not part of this. And street lights again will be placed at all street intersections only. They have the same issue as the Meadow Bridge had, where with the ditches and constraints and them doing, you know, a full road improvement instead of just a partial, there's not room for street trees, and they're not proposed at this time. But we do still have the opportunity that when subdivisions go in, you know, to the north or to the west, that can be included as part of their improvements, since they're not having to do lots
They
of
could get
paving
better on both sides. of the street.
with, yeah. Since they're paving Kenyon and 279, you know, of course, is
One on
it's,
Jerry's, they didn't have to.
So when the property is south of those houses on Edgewood, if that property develops, because it's paved, that's all they'll do is put the curb and gutter.
But eventually you'll get it. Develop.
yes,
We use the same map with sidewalk. Reading subdivision.
yes.
More. Little one, Tuscan sidewalk was $50.
For fee in lieu, they're doing for sidewalk was
They're doing it per linear
23,641.
foot, and they did it per square foot, it's the same. 10 foot per square foot, they did 50 foot per linear foot of sidewalk. Or a 5 foot sidewalk, this is a 10 foot per square foot,
$10 per square foot.
what I said, $10 per square foot, so at 5 foot wide, it's still the same 50.
The amounts have been approved by engineering Alan as far as what they're supposed to be, and I know Jessica went through there and did her math and said, nope, I've got it right here.
Will there be sidewalks on the north property? Sidewalks.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. On Kenyon. They're doing sidewalks on Keller, not Keller, 279.
He's on the north side of Kenyon when it develops on that side. You
They'll have to.
recommend sidewalks on the south side.
So right now, we'll be working on the Canyon box over and widen all that. In order to put any kind of walks in. So,
But when the properties come in on the north, will they have room for a sidewalk? So there is a sidewalk along Kenyon.
by that time, we can over at that box.
Sidewalk on both sides.
We'll end up with eventually.
Yeah. Starting out the paved road.
We'll call it Kenyon Trail.
There you go.
There you go. Everything over there is called Kenyon, so go for it.
Are there any other questions or comments in regards to the preliminary plat? For the adjacent street agreement?
I feel like I shoved a lot of information at you.
It's their job, they got it.
It seems to be more,
Yes.
there no additional questions or comments, but I want to motion forward. Subdivision 22019 Green Valley preliminary plat plans, which include the preliminary plat and the adjacent street.
County will make a motion to approve subdivision 2209 Kenyon Spring Valley. Preliminary plat and adjacent street agreement.
Second. Motion and second, is anyone opposed? Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Under other business, there's proposed amendments to zoning code section 14.04.04, zoning districts, subsection J, RTHD residential townhome duplex, and K, RTH 12 residential townhome multi-family.
You can pass it down. We pass that down to the big wig,
Who needs it?
the big wig over there.
The big wig.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah,
Oh, oh, never mind,
We're all on board.
Oh, no, David, okay.
never mind. I did my best.
Let me-
We got one.
I think everyone's got one.
Yeah, I need a phone call.
So,
That's back
I
over,
guess
please.
fire is okay with these changes so far. I mean, this has already been reviewed by the fire.
So sorry.
Pardon?
It's already been reviewed by the fire marshal.
No, that's why I have two things highlighted, but I'm gonna call them. Because they just passed a code. I just added townhouses in both. Residential townhome duplex and in the 12. They are required to be.
Anything twin home, townhouse, let's be sure.
You're okay with it?
Yes, yeah. Now that's, she's just amending. Bill's code to match the building and fire code.
Yep.
I think that's the only change for it.
That's all I have for, and then, well, we reduced the. Well, this was, we just reduced the multi-family.
Oh, yeah. As long as you're-
And they're strengthening themselves.
Right.
Are we waiting for? So you do want
We
me
did
to
duplex.
go ahead? Okay,
Wait. Nice.
all right, we had talked about the residential townhome multifamily, that there were inconsistencies, and when we got looking at it, there, you just couldn't comply with. You do one thing here and it violates another section, so. When we did that, then we found that this kind of carries over into the RTH duplex. So I would like to amend both sections of the code. And so we start with the duplex, and I just, you can see what I have deleted. And so that it makes it more self-explanatory what this zoning district is. It is that they may be attached single family, but they are on their individual lots. Where in our other zoning districts, you have multiple units on one lot. So I changed the wording instead of 1 2-family dwelling per lot, which didn't really clarify, to 2 single-family units attached, sharing a 0 lot line with each unit on their individual lot. Now, we went through here and the lot area, we compared it with what we have in the R3 duplex and multifamily. And so R3 duplex is 4,000 square feet. So we just tried to make it consistent. That one's attached on its own lot. These are just on their own lot. Minimum lot frontage, 80 feet per 2 units, which is 40 feet per unit. Minimum lot depth, 100 feet, the same. The front setback, 25 feet. The minimum depth of rear setback, 25 feet. We recommend changing that to 20 feet. The only 2 districts, well, zoning districts that have 25 feet is our R2, which is medium density, and our R1 low density. So everything else, it has that 20 feet, so we wanted it to be inconsistent.
This the heights, maybe?
Or
Because of the height that we.
No, because we don't have restrictions. I mean, this is the same restriction at 35 feet, 2-story. So. And I think I want to make sure that we do, yeah, 35 feet, or it says 2.5 stories, which we'll get into that. minimum width of side setback. So this is the thing, the interior, I just changed the labeling so that it, and then to match the chart below.
Mhm.
Because it had interior, I forgot what it had.
Internal. It's like
Yeah.
internal.
Oh, I thought I had it over at the side. Okay, I added this actually from the multifamily. The interior lot, that's your adjoining lot, is 0 feet. Your exterior lot setback would be 10 feet. That's the same street side 25. I just changed the wording and added that street side. And then I amended the chart below. Because previously it had lot area 8250 or whatever, it was something 8500.
Mhm.
It didn't make sense for
It did not matter.
one lot. So actually this 80 foot, I need to change that to 40. I thought that had been, missed that one. And then the chart below, we will redo a chart. This is not correct with what we have about the setback that we do. Everything else looks the same. Building size did not change. Well, the coverage
Mhm.
we did, the square feet, we did not, the building, the lot area was 40%, which when you work all this out with what the required setbacks and so forth, you couldn't even meet, you couldn't build to those setbacks and meet the 40% requirement. You would have built to a 50%. So architectural treatments are the same. I just added, I tried to make these both very consistent. So this was on the multifamily, maximum number of accessory buildings, 1 per unit. There's only, 30-foot width on minimum on these, but maximum height, 35 feet or 2.5 stories, whichever is less. The 2.5 stories, that half story, that came from where some people would take their attic and convert it. That's where that. Special provisions. This is what I just talked with Paul about before. There was that they should have a firewall and so forth, but there is now the requirement that any 2-family or more be sprinkled. So that has been revised. They must be sprinkled. Residential, then we go into the multifamily. I reworded this also. The other one just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So this area is intended for single-family attached dwellings which share a 0 lot line with each dwelling on its own individual lot. Then we go into the area requirements. I removed the 8,500 square feet because that's not what the lot, if you have an 8,500 square feet, then it tells you that you need 3,000 square feet.
Mhm.
So it's 3,000 square feet per dwelling unit. Minimum average lot width stayed the same, the 30 feet. Minimum depth, 100 feet. The front setback, 25 feet. Those all stayed the same. I'd like to recommend also 20 feet for rear setback. And then the minimum width of the side setback. The interior is 0. Exterior, 15. It was 25. Which ended up, what that means is 15 between on each lot. So 15, so you have a total of 30 feet between a group, and they're limited to 5 units. So, and then street side, the 25 feet from a street. So we revised the chart with the exterior being 15 feet and everything else is the same. I just changed the getting a street side. It said corner.
Mhm.
So that didn't make much sense. Sorry. We'll have to revise the exhibit to match this, and then building size. We have the maximum width of a building, which I
We'll have to reword it
we'll
so it
have
makes
to
more sense.
rewrite maximum width. I'll probably just remove that and put limited to 5 attached units. Maximum coverage percentage of lot area 50%, and that's pretty standard. Architectural treatment, the same 75% masonry. Your accessory building coverage of rear yard 20%. Which, when we figured that, if you have the other one was actually 200 square feet, I think. But
Mhm.
so we may want to, we can either look at changing that to 200 square feet. Or leave it at the 20%, which would be. Building coverage, well, it's 20% of what? So we need to discuss that one. And then just a limit to one accessory building. Same thing about the 2.5 stories or 35 feet, whichever is less. Townhomes must be sprinkled. And and then parking regulations. That they shall provide 2 vehicle parking spaces per dwelling unit. With a driveway connecting the, that's the same as it was. So, any comments?
So in theory, could this create more density on a piece of property?
They're still limited on what they're allowed, but yes. They're still allowed to limit at 12, wouldn't they?
Yeah, the zoning. doesn't-
Yeah, it was originally allowed at 12.
But it doesn't conflict at the end of the day with all of that. They just making sure that we don't flip with something else. Density wise, that's allowed in the zone district. This doesn't create a conflict, does it?
Mm,
And you may not have done the math yet. I'm
I have
thinking in my
not.
mind.
I have not done the map really laying it out and side by side, but there's. It just kind of how, it wouldn't impact it
Because
by
it-
more than.
The max is 12 and everybody does all the perfect thing here, and they can put 15.
Then they'll
They-
find
there is-
reason that.
There is no way they can get this.
right,
But even if they can, the max is 12, so too bad. You could say you exceed the density, you have to get rid of homes.
Right.
Making sure.
And when you actually look at this, there's nothing that actually states that the maximum is 12 units per acre. If there's something that you typically you only get 5 to 7.
yeah, right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah, the highest I think was Crystal Cove phases 1 through 3. It was still like 8.88 or 9.88. I haven't looked at it in a bit, but it was
Is
still,
that high?
but it was still below the 12.
Surprised it was that high.
Yeah,
I mean, I think in general, these, then, I think we had some of this discussion in the previous meeting.
Mhm.
I think just walking through it then, it makes sense. My mind, I don't know if anybody closed or if any other comments or.
With right away, the max density is still 11.6.
And that's in a perfect world, no drainage.
I think we should put on here on the MF 12, what that 12 means.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Max 12.
But
Right.
we should put maximum 12 units per acre. If that would be acceptable.
I think so.
Okay. And the duplex, we'll figure out what that is, but I think it's more.
I could tell you.
That 10.9.
I wanted to just take the 12 off,
R3D is max 7.
7, you want to limit. That's 7 also. Okay, that's being consistent, and it will help when we revise our code. That's easier.
Do we need to set up a public hearing for this?
Mhm.
So. 9/19.
5. Personal. Nobody.
9/5. No.
We can make 9/5.
9/5.
There's no time.
Yep.
Yeah, there's 2 more Tuesdays in
That's our plan.
August.
That was our plan anyway.
Yeah, the deadline's not till Monday, so we have time.
Tomorrow, Thursday.
Yep.
I would.
No, I have a couple more questions I had on this.
We did follow.
I like being staff, I used to blurt stuff out.
My alarm's going off in 5 minutes.
The only districts that call out a lot depth are these RTH ones of 100 feet. Everything else just exceeds your minimum width and your minimum area.
Area.
Mhm.
That's every other district.
So he's asking.
I want
if we
to get rid
possibly
of depth
remove-
completely.
This was old. I mean, this is like.
I think it makes sense to make it consistent with the width, you know.
So everything else is just width and area, and say 30.
Yeah,
or
because that
60
way it gives
frontage.
flexibility if they got a unique
Yeah.
design.
A lot of them say, 60 frontage, 6,000 feet for your.
I
single
agree with your, yeah.
Yay.
Okay.
Well, it's only good.
No, fair enough, yes.
Get the white out. That's when you said nine. It's getting late. I'm gonna know.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm gonna remove one.
That's how many notes we get.
Samantha, this is the time.
Is,
Oh, you're vocal.
we're messed with setbacks. I looked at all the commercial, can we change our commercial setback?
Not right now.
But not.
That's not this.
Not right now.
Discussion.
Right now. We've got to redo the whole,
You can
We're
come up here.
we're redoing the commercial zoning districts also.
Yeah,
It's either J and K, but so I
Um,
want to do LM and N, and
no.
change commercial to 15.
another day.
We're
No.
moving on with this one
That's-
and. Yes, sir.
It's really both of them under number 6, 6.2.
Okay.
The public, the non-public, public service buildings and all that. Is that necessary? Under this,
I think those
There
are,
are times where you may have within a zoning. Public assembly type, like with churches.
Church, school.
in duplexes,
It's the zoning.
But I would. Building a setback from each yard line at least 1 foot for each 2 additional height.
yeah,
So
a lot of stuff that's conditional in every zoning.
if you don't provide for it, invariably it's gonna happen.
well, because I just.
It's in
Above
every-
it, we look at it.
There's a
Right,
schedule of
but
uses if you want.
within every zoning district, there's a provision for. Public assembly type.
That bottom section's what's conditional in.
So it just allows for that changing of the setback so that. They aren't as impactful.
But so when they build a mosque on church or the property next to you, they can. They don't have to.
All right. So we need a motion to set a public hearing for 9/5.
Well, this John, I propose, we use that motion, for 9/5, just, publish for. Zoning code 1404.
Motion and a second, is anyone opposed? All right. Executive review on 8/24. Next plan is commission meeting is 9/5. Be here to close. APAC training 4/4. The next council meeting is 9/12.
And if anyone wants to go to the APAC training, let me know. And I'll get you signed up. Was it not on there?
This one's not on there.
It's like September. I'll tell you at the next meeting. what it
Wednesday.
is. It's a Wednesday.
It seems like Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's like the second Wednesday. I think
It's
it's
the ninth.
September.
It's after the council meeting. That's 9.
No,
9/12.
So it's
City
the
council.
13th.
yeah, 9/13, September 13th.
9/13. Okay. Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved.